Thank you for joining us on Insight. It's Citizen FM 93.7. My name is Lawrence Umoette. It's 10:08 in the city and time once again for Insight. Welcome. After months of speculations, it's finally official. The process of altering the 1999 Constitution for the fifth time is on the final lap, awaiting presidential assent. The National Assembly has transmitted 35 bills out of the 44 sent to the state houses of assembly to President Muhammad Buhari for his assent. Initially, the lawmakers at the federal level proposed 68 clauses for alteration, but eventually 44 made it to that final stage. The dominant news is that an attempt at ensuring financial autonomy for local government councils failed as the state houses of assembly rejected the proposals. This has expectedly generated controversies in the media, despite the fact that 35 other clauses were approved. On Insight today, we intend to do some analysis of the entire constitutional alteration process and the emerging backlash currently on. And my guest is Dr. Umoette, who is a forensic and social psychologist, a teacher and a journalist. Welcome to Insight, Dr. Umoette.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, Dr. Umoette, straight on. This did not come to you as a surprise, did it?
No, it didn't. Because the way the 1999 Constitution is contrived, it gives the governors the kind of overarching powers over their states, assemblies, and so on and so forth. Even the state judiciary are all under one man, the governor of the state. And the 1999 Constitution created one major problem for local government administration in Nigeria by providing for what we call the joint account, JAC account, between the state governments and the local government, and making the governor the chairman of the account. And you would understand the financial implications of that constitutional provision, that the governors themselves rely on the local government funds to do as they like in their states, and they wouldn't want to let go. There was a time the president of the country, Muhammad Buhari, issued an executive order trying to free the local government from the shackles of the state governors. That didn't fly because you cannot cure a constitutional problem through executive fiat or executive orders. You cannot override, the president cannot override the constitution. So the pressure will have to really continue until the governors let go. The governors must be compelled to let go of the local governments. For them, local government funds are the kind of funds they can play with. What they do, because I've actually tried to look at it, what the governors do is every month they call the local government caretaker committee chairman. Yeah, I say caretaker committee because almost all the local governments in the country are not under elected executive chairman and council. They are all appointees with the governor as the appointer. And they give them money to pay salaries and maybe additional 500,000 naira to look at, take care of security, cleaning of drainages and a few things. So what the local government caretaker committee chairman do is to just collect whatever they get and they disappear to the state capitals. This practice has ensured that there is no local government system in Nigeria. It's as simple as that. Because if you check the local government, administration act and all that, you will see that the contemplation of the Constitution, and the logic behind the local government and governance in Nigeria, it's simply predicated on having a tier of government at that level to take care of basic governance, taking government to the people so that they will be able to take care of some of their basic needs, their markets, their local health care system, the environment, cleanliness. There are very basic things that local government, ought to address itself to. But these things cannot work anymore because there are no funds. The governors are sitting on those funds. So it's a big blow that it didn't go through this time around. And for this is the fifth alteration. All the attempts in the past also were all scuttled by the governors. So it's sad, very sad.
Okay, Dr. Mefo, maybe we should just take a step backward. Let's even look at the composition of the local government. Let's start with the recruitment process of the councillors and even the chairman. Could this be a factor in the whole scheme of things?
Well, what do you call? I've already implicated that. I told you that there is no election in any local government in Nigeria. Maybe one or two. But over 30 states of the country are, at local government level, are run by appointees of the governor. If you are an appointee of anybody, you have to to the appointors' whims and caprices. So these are the boys. The local government is seen now as job for the boys. The people who hangers on of the governor. These are the people that go there. So there is no local government administration. It's a fundamental reason why you have a problem at that level.
Exactly, Doctor. What you just said now, your last statement now, I'm looking at the quality of people who offer service, who offer themselves for election at the local government area. For example, basically, we see people who have been in the political train of the governor, some of them who have been thugs of the governor or muscle men of the governor. At the end of the day, you see them in councils, you see them as local government chairmen. Now, if we have situations where we have retired professors, people like you, retired permanent secretaries, people who have established themselves in their spheres of endeavors over the years, decide to take up election at the local government level. Could this change the scheme of things?
It most certainly would change the scheme of things. But before you can achieve that, two things must be done. First and foremost, there has to be local government autonomy. Otherwise, you cannot attract somebody like me. I can't leave Abuja to my local government area in Anambra State to be the errand boy of the governor. I can't afford it. That is number one. But if there is local government autonomy and the rights and the powers of the local government, clearly spelled out, delineated by the Constitution, the source of funds, without any form of interference coming from the governor, then it will attract even professors who would want to help at that level. Because if you go to a place like Anambra State, you have even a fourth tier of government in the town union. Every town is organized in Anambra State, and indeed, all the towns in Igbo land, you have what you call a town union under the leadership of a president general. And they try to, do some basic development of their towns and so on and so forth. So you can see that, and if you go there, you see PhDs, professors, you see top professionals as presidents general. So if they can go to become presidents general of their towns, a little enclave, A local government is a cluster of many towns. Certainly, it will attract, such people, if not men of greater capacities. But the reason they can't go is just like I have said. There is no autonomy. They go there to do practically nothing. And one other thing that will attract people is the recruitment process. If you do not ensure a level playing ground so that people can really contest and be chosen by the people directly, given mandate by the people directly. If one has to wait to be in the good books of the governor before he or she can contest, then there will be no basis trying to contest at all. Because the governor, if he moves against you, can't get it. The war chest of the governor, if he rolls out his monthly security vote, which is largely unaccounted for, there is no way you can compete with him. And this is what is going on in the states. The governors are czars. They are like Russian czars. They're body emperors. There is no democracy of any kind in the states. Nothing at all. Because of the way the Constitution, allows them to really run. Because if you have it's not just only the local government area councils that are constituted by men appointed by the governor. Even the state houses of assembly, they are made up of people handpicked by the governor. So that recruitment process must change. If you don't have guaranteed internal party democracy, where whether the primaries at that level, are done by indirect election, it may not matter as long as there is a level playing ground where the members of the political parties are free to choose who they want to bear their flag. It's not the governor handing out tickets. At the end of the day, you are condemned to choosing only between the people represented by the governors and not by members of the political parties. So this is what is going on. Until these two things are guaranteed, you will not attract any serious, candidates, as you are trying to describe here. You will not attract them. People at that level don't have time, to go and carry anybody's bag. For what? At that level, he's going to offer service. So why will he have to go there to be an errand boy of any governor? He wouldn't want to do that.
Okay, we also know that the local government is the closest to the people when you talk about the unit of governance. And now, can we say that we need to improve or maybe improve our advocacy in terms of making citizens take up responsibilities in knowing what happens in the local government councils and taking interest in what happens in the local government councils? Can this help?
Well, if you, I really don't see how much that can contribute, because there is you can't, if you talk in terms of holding a government accountable to the people, at local government level, the administrators, they are accountable to the governor. You can't reverse it because it's a right. It's a right, allocated to the governors by the Constitution that handed the governors the financial control of the local government. Until you address that, issue of accountability will hardly play out. Because if you look at it, accountability is essentially how funds are received and how the funds are applied. The funds that are released to local governments are with the governors. So if you want to talk about accountability, it is the governor that should account for the money that he is sitting upon. That is just the simple truth. Nigerians need to understand this fact. That joint account, until it is abrogated, nothing will change at the local government level. Nothing at all. And the financial autonomy of state assemblies. I didn't also see that, amongst the 35 bills being transmitted to the president. If you don't free the state assemblies, they cannot checkmate the governor. Because if there is, in journalism, there is what we call the piper syndrome. The person who pays the piper dictates the tunes. If the governor is the one who is giving handouts to the state assemblies, there is nothing. There's nothing the legislators can do, because if you try to challenge the governor, he will simply close the tap. The money stops coming, and you starve. Before you know what is happening, the council is the assembly is broken into pieces through rancor and all that. And in fact, as we speak now, there are no assemblies at state level. They don't exist. Those things, they are just rubber stamps who are there to do the bidding of the governor and to collect their money. What the governor wants, he sends to them and they approve. Have you heard of any impeachment since the last 8 years? It was even Obasanjo that tried to strengthen some state assemblies to be able to challenge a few of the governors. Even though what he did was also extra legal, extrajudicial, but that was the only time we could hear that the governor could be challenged. The reason is simple. It's in the Constitution. The person that becomes the Speaker of any House of Assembly is an appointee of the governor. That's a fact. There is no speaker that has emerged on his own. So if the governor made you speaker, deputy speaker, and all that, made you even a member of the House, you just can't move against such a person. And the essence, the quintessence, the beauty of presidential democracy is the principle of separation of powers between the three arms of government. Okay. But in the state, the executive, the judiciary, the legislature are all fused in one person. Even you need to look at even the judiciary at state level. The judiciary is all virtually under the governor as well. You know why? The judiciary in the state is not enjoying full financial autonomy. You can go and check it out. And you see, everything has to do with money, how you get your money. If you get your money from me, you can't challenge me. If you do, I'll put a stumbling block on that money for you. And you will discover that without money, you can't do nothing. That's what is going on in Nigeria now. And that is why we keep saying that we don't have democracy yet. Because if you don't devolve democracy to states, you haven't started. It's even at the center here that you have a bit of democracy where the National Assembly, because it's enjoying financial autonomy, can sometimes challenge the president. But you can't do that in the states. Okay. That's what we are saying.
Okay, Dr. Mefo. Now we can sulk for all we can. We can cry. It's been 5 attempts, all to no success. Now, the joint account is a constitutional matter, and the only way we can remove that is through a constitutional alteration. And,
that's it.
And it doesn't look as if that is possible in reality because of the powers of the governors. So where do we go from here?
Pressure. Nigerians must rise. We are too docile. If you look at the process, the local government, Nigerian Labour Congress talked about mobilizing to pressure the state governors to yield. Did that happen? That did not happen under Ayuba Waba. He did not do that. If Ayuba Waba understands the implications of what we are talking about, he should make it number one priority. What he is addressing is too inconsequential for me. He has to mobilize Nigerians to, in fact, we ought to see the state NLCs, laying siege on state assemblies when this thing is going on. As we speak now, as many, only 27 states have responded. What that means is that you have a balance of 9 states, and surprisingly, Oyo of all states in the south hasn't done anything. Kwara hasn't done anything. So you can understand that. Where is the conference of speakers? Where are they? Why should this, so you can see that something is not adding up well. So some of them, the governors will give them money and they will just dump the whole process. Otherwise, why should Oyo not have complied? Why shouldn't Oyo comply with the rest of the 17 states of the South? They haven't.
Okay.
Kwara hasn't.
Okay.
I'm surprising to see Oyo and Kwara, amongst the non-compliant list. It's very embarrassing for me.
Okay, for the records, apart from Kwara and Oyo, we also have Jigawa, Kebbi, Plateau, Sokoto, Taraba, and Zamfara states as states that are yet to make returns. And,
that's it.
So this is food for thought for people who have any form of relationship or interest with those states. Call out your lawmakers, ask questions. Almost 1 year since this process began. What is the excuse of your state's assembly? Not
10 whole months.
Not to make returns to
if
that.
they are serious, these things shouldn't last more than 3 legislative sessions. Mm-hmm. This is a fact. Mm-hmm. In fact, do you know you can amend Nigerian constitution in 6 months? Completely. Mm-hmm. You do nothing else. And is it not first reading, second reading, and third reading? And you move this into conference of speakers, they can sit together, have a joint session, and pass these things within a week. But they don't want to. Their interest is the money that comes to them, because they are not there, they are not put there by the people themselves. This is the point I am emphasizing. You see, Piper syndrome. If Nigerian lawmakers at state level were, essentially chosen by the people and not by the governors, the people will be able to insist on feedback. They will be able to insist on what they want. But you and I know that Nigerian lawmakers, even at federal level, don't listen to anybody because of the way they were recruited.
All right, Dr. Mefo, we will go on a short break, and when we return, there are other issues concerning the alterations that we need to talk about. But for the records again, here are the states that voted in favor of local government autonomy: Abia State, Kogi State, Edo State, Ogun State, Katsina, Delta, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Nasarawa, Niger, Kaduna, Cross River, Osun, Enugu, Kano, and Bauchi State. So those are the states that voted in favor of local government autonomy. If I did not call out your state, you know what to do. And apart from that, there were other alterations. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll look at other alterations. Please don't go away. Thank you for staying tuned. Still Insight on Citizen FM 93.7. We are looking at the alteration of the Constitution, the final lap, since the clauses are now expectedly to be before Mr. President for his assent. That's what the National Assembly told us a few days ago. And my guest is Dr. Law Mefo, a forensic and social psychologist, and he's been taking a look at some of the controversial issues surrounding the alteration. And one of them is the rejection of local government autonomy. Dr. Mefo, thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for holding on.
Thank you. I'm here.
Okay, so you can be part of this program by calling us on 0903 2229797. That's 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0808 222237. You can also join us on our live stream on YouTube. Type in Citizen FM 937 and you'll be with us. Also, don't forget social media platforms. You can interact with us on Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja, on Instagram at Citizen FM 937, and also on Twitter at Citizen FM 937. So let's hear from you. You can also send us a WhatsApp message in any of those numbers. Just let us know where you're writing in from, and we will read out your message. Don't forget, our guest is Dr. Law Mefo, a forensic and social psychologist. So, Dr. Mefo, now let's look at other alterations passed by the National Assembly. One of them that caught my attention is what a lot of people have been clamoring for over the years, and that's been separation of the office of the Attorney General of the Federation and of the state from the office of the Minister or the Commissioner for Justice.
Yes, I think it's a very welcome development. The Attorney General, since the return of the country to the present democratic dispensation, have been too partisan. They mix up the issue of administration of justice with their own partisan membership of political parties. We saw it. An example is what Adokie did, with the fifth alteration, because this fifth alteration you have now would have been signed into law by President Goodluck Jonathan as he was then, but Adokie scuttled it, fronting for some unseen hands and certain interests. Adokie prevailed on President Goodluck Jonathan to even clean out his own signature with a Tipex. That's the truth. He signed, but in fact, Adokie went to court to challenge even the president signing. An appointee. But that's it. The president, you are an appointee, and you are doing a job for a president, and you can go to court to challenge your own, the person that appointed you to that office, on the reasons why you believe you shouldn't sign. It's not for him. It is for Goodluck Jonathan, who will either succeed or fail. He will live with the consequences. Not Adokie. Nobody. He was an appointee. We don't know him, but it's an example of what has happened. Now, the current Attorney General, Abubakar Malami, we have seen how he runs the office as well. We have seen, how even the works of very key and critical agencies like ICPC, EFCC, the way the Code of Conduct Bureau. Do you understand that? And the Attorney General is the number one law officer, of the Federation. He is the one that he administers the criminal justice system, because he is the one that will that everything that is done, even by the police, is more or less done on behalf of his office. And he is, of course, doing that on behalf of the president. But you don't mix this up with your political party positions. Let me give you two instances of very terrible things that have happened on Dabaladi. Take the case of Magu of EFCC. Magu was disgraced out of office. They set up the Salami committee to verify the veracity of the allegations against Magu. Where is that report? Till today, nobody knows whether Magu was guilty or not. If Magu was not guilty, why didn't you return him to EFCC? If he is guilty, why are you still leaving him in the police force? So you can see such mess. You don't allow that in a system you're growing. And this is precisely why institutions are not getting any better in Nigeria. So for me, the two offices should be separated. It may not be the best global best practice, but in our own experience, there is need to separate the two. Because those who occupied the office in the past and in the present have not been able to separate their politics from the professional responsibilities of the office. That's why I stand with the recommendation for the separation.
Okay, Dr. Mefo, another clause, in fact, two of them, I want us to take the two together. The first is the State of the Nation / State of the State address. It simply means that the president is expected to present a State of the Nation address before the National Assembly. And then the second one is the powers to summon the president and or the governor by the legislature. Now, some people are saying this may also create some kind of too much distraction for the president. What do you think?
Well, you see, like I talked about the quintessence and the beauty of the principle of separation of powers in a presidential democracy. The legislature is an arm of government. And it is not only the arm of government, it is actually the number one arm. You know, people keep saying that number one arm is the executive. No, it is not. Number one arm of government in a presidential democracy is the legislature. Why? It is because that is the people. That is where the people are gathered. You know, but because all of us cannot, 210 million of us cannot gather in a National Assembly, we send our representatives. So once they gather, the whole Nigeria has gathered. That is what it is. So they should be able to summon the president. They should. All I expect, you know, in order to guide against what you've just said, you know, the issue of distraction, you know, distracting the president from doing his work, you know, I should believe that there must be a kind of procedure, making it an absolute condition. For example, if you want to amend the Constitution of Nigeria to create a state, you don't even use a 2/3 majority. What you use is a 5/6. You know, which is almost every person agree. That is the way it has to be. So, you know, since we run political party system, and the president's political party members are also in the National Assembly, when his own political party members vote that he must come, then he will have no reason not to come. You know, but because you have made it an absolute majority demanding, you know, from both House of Reps and Senate that the president has to appear, you know, you have given the members of his party the opportunity to stop it if in their thinking it is frivolous. But the president cannot, you know, carry on as if he's above the whole country. But that is the way President Muhammad Buhari postures. He's not the only one. When Obasanjo was there too, he postured like he was God himself, above the whole Nigerians. That's the way they have carried themselves. And that is exactly what this is trying to address. That you must come to the people once in a while to explain a few things. You just have to come. So do you know that ministers even shun the National Assembly? Ministers shun the National Assembly. But you see, if the president can be summoned by National Assembly under strict conditions, no minister will refuse to appear if the president, his appointer, you know, could appear. You know, so these are some psychological, you know, healing and the processes, you know, that I believe that this proposed amendment is trying to inject into the system. You know, our own constitution, the way it is, has created a dictator in a civilian environment. This is not a military administration. This is presidential democracy. You are answerable to the people. The people put you there. They hired you. So if the person that hired you and is paying your salary says, please come and explain this, why shouldn't you go? In principle, you didn't make yourself president. That's why they are campaigning today to win, to succeed the incumbent. If they get in there and can no longer listen to Nigerians, then there is a problem with the way the Constitution has empowered them. Nigerian Constitution 1999 could be the worst we have operated in Nigerian history. And that is what is creating all this dislocation and confusion. The Nigerian Constitution 1999, even as amended, has created so much latitude for confusion and conflict, to the point that the president is an absolute ruler, not a leader. He's a ruler. Just look at President Muhammad Buhari. He simply doesn't care, and nobody can do anything about it. That's the problem.
But Dr. Mefo, if we are to look at the fact on the ground, the 1999 Constitution is also the Constitution that we have used the longest since 1960. If you look
to what effect? That's the question now. So what have you achieved with it? You have achieved that Nigerians have become. Have you taken a look at the misery index and see where Nigerians are now?
Anyway, Dr.
We are more than 1,000% poorer than we were, by the time the military exited in 1999. Go and check records.
Anyway, Dr. Before, that's a story for another day. Meanwhile,
yes.
We are still taking calls. The number to call is 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0808 2222037. You can also send us a message on WhatsApp, and we have a message here. It says, good morning, Citizen FM. Thank you for this opportunity. I've been trying to wrap my head around the alteration, but from the discussion this morning, I think I now understand what the process is. God bless you guys. It's from Ganiyu, saying it's writing in from Wusetu. Thank you so much, Ganiyu, for this. Dr. Mefo, we were talking about other clauses that we approved. Now, let's take another two together. This one says the timeline for the presentation of appropriation bills. Second one is also time frame for the submission of names of ministerial or commissioners and nominees to the legislature.
Yeah, well, I think it's also necessary. You don't just bring in the appropriation bill, when you want. There, I was in the Senate for a decade, and I understand the rigors that go into the appropriation. So the budget proposed by the executive must arrive within a specific time frame. Either the National Assembly and the state assemblies will be able to do justice. If you look at our budget, to be honest, it's been more of a garbage in, garbage out. What I would want to call ritualistic redundancy. You will see certain line items repeated. Every year the same organization is buying furniture, buying computer, buying cars, the same office. This is not right. Why is this so? Because it's garbage in, garbage out. There is no time to really properly scrutinize these things, and they give it to professionals. The lawmakers are not necessarily professionals in financial matters. Maybe a few of them. So they would need time to bring in professionals to help them go through these things. Otherwise, why the repetitions we find? That is it. I was doing a budget analysis for my principal when I was there, and I see the same items almost every year. You will see the same road being budgeted for almost every year. So does it mean that road will never get completed, and for a decade is being budgeted for all over again, the same amount even? So something is not adding up. That's when I said that budgeting in Nigeria is more like ritualistic redundancy. So if the National Assembly says they need a time frame within which the president will have to submit the draft, I think it's in order so that they'll be able to do a good job. I'm not saying they will even do, but at least they will no longer have an excuse for not doing a good job if they don't in the future. The same thing goes, for the state assemblies. So I think it is important. Then when it talks about submission of lists, there is something that I haven't seen the details, but President Muhammad Buhari had to stay for the 6 months or even more before he could nominate the same people that were on the same campaign train with him. because we thought that the 6 months was to enable him shop for, serious Nigerians, that he needed to really do some turnaround in our economy and politics. But it's the same old people that eventually took 6 whole months to assemble. So I think it's very important that they need to bring the list. But there is something I think that has not been touched, which I believe is very, very important. Mm-hmm. When you interview nominees for ministers and commissioners in the federal and the state, without portfolios being attached. Okay. You see, the probe is not deep, because you can't get anything out of it. Nobody tells you anything, really. As far as I'm concerned, those interviews are useless. Because if I am nominated for a ministerial position, say for youth and sports, people should be able to hear what I am bringing to the table to turn around the fortunes of Nigerian youth and reorganize the sports sector. But when nothing is attached, I don't even know where I will be eventually, assigned to, and you ask me what I'm bringing to the table. I am not God, so I cannot be competent in all areas of life and governance. So I may be giving you information based on perspectives in the areas of governance that I believe, constitute my forte. But it may not be where I'll be sent to. So of what value is the answer I gave you during the screening? Nonsense. It's not right. It's not. So that aspect, I believe, is still not what we should be looking at. There must be portfolios attached.
Yes, Dr. Mefo, this issue has always been around for a while, but the response from the executive side has always been that sometimes the president will also need to rejig his cabinet, move ministers around. Now, if the ministers were given approval based on specific ministry, that would mean them returning to the National Assembly for a fresh screening.
But look, let me tell you, if he has to take that, so be it. You just cannot give. This is like winking at a lady in the dark. The lady is not seeing you. It's darkness. We don't see what these people are bringing to the table. I can't remember any appointee that really brought some insight into how things can change that eventually turned out to be that way. You know why I say this? If you attach portfolios, Nigerians will follow through and make mental notes of what this person said he's going to do when he gets to the ministry. If he doesn't do that, public opinion will hold him accountable. Nigerians can demand for his removal. That is what he said he's going to do when it comes in line with the manifesto and the ideas of the appointor. If he doesn't follow through his promise, because it's a kind of manifesto. Remember that these ministers and commissioners didn't go through any election. So we don't know what they are bringing to the table. Only the president or governor, believe he knows. Nigerians deserve to know. In other countries, you attach the portfolio. And this will help us to know precisely what you are bringing to the table. And if the president wants to move you away from there to another ministry, for God's sake, return to the National Assembly for reassessment. After all, how long does that really take? Screening a minister, does it take more than an hour? So why can't you go there and do another 1 hour because you're moving to a new ministry? And with Buhari's experience, who has he really moved to anywhere? Has he not retained almost over 80% of them there since 2015? They have been there. Those that left are those who left to contest for office of president and lost, and they didn't reabsorb them again. I think there are about 9 or so. Otherwise, this movement, if it becomes necessary, that somebody will have to really move from another place to another, go to the National Assembly and get a fresh note. Do you know that if you were a former minister screened by National Assembly and you are reappointed, you still have to go through National Assembly again?
Yes.
So why shouldn't that be when somebody is being moved to another ministry? Because it's already an yes. I believe it's justified.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mefo. It's always a pleasure listening to you. And since you were talking about what should be looked at, maybe this current set of people who are aspiring to come to our legislatures, especially at the federal and state level, they should also be listening to this. And also for me, one other issue that I think that when we are taking a second look at our constitution should be the issue of defection of lawmakers and even elected officials.
I agree with you.
There should be no ambiguity completely.
No ambiguity. You don't leave a political party.
And retain
if you must leave a political party, you must surrender the mandate given to the party. You know why?
Yes.
The reason is simple. The Supreme Court rules that the vote does not belong to the candidate alone. The party shares the vote. So if you run away with the mandate, you are going with the votes of the party.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah,
and let me quickly mention this.
Doctor,
yes, very quick. In a sentence, I believe that there is the 5 to 6 areas where power devolution, were touched, very critical.
Yeah.
Ports, railway, prisons, and the power. My brother, this is what we have been clamoring for. We are asking for devolution of powers, and I thank Senator Lawan and the Speaker Badadia Amila for their leadership for pulling this through. May they follow through and get the president to sign this thing into law. If they succeed in doing that, the issue of power, making national grid optional, will solve this country's perennial power problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lome, for your
The pleasure is always mine.
Yes, that's our package on Insight today. The program returns on Monday with another interesting topic. My name is Lawrence Umoette. Enjoy the rest of your day.